percentage change in the price of a bond for a 1% change in the yield to maturity? We studied that at a 6% coupon bond with a 6% yield will give us a price of $100, and we could solve that very easily by entering N as 10, I by Y as 6, PMT as 6, FV as 100, assuming $100 is the par value, and computing PV. Now let's assume that the yields fell down by 5%. That is, at a 1% yield. So something grave happened in the economy and suddenly the yields fell from 6% to 5%. The new price of the bond can be calculated by replacing 6 by 1 in the I by Y calculation and then computing PV again. This will give us the new price of the bond. So if yields fell 5%, for example, to a value of 1%, then the price of the bond can be calculated by entering 10 as N, 1 as I by Y, 100 as FV, 6 as PMT, and compute PV. So the price becomes 147.35%. So with a 6% yield, the price was 100. With a 1% yield, that is a 5% decline in yield, the price of the bond would be 147.35, or the percentage increase in the price of the bond would be 47%. If yields fall by 5%, the price of the bond goes up by 47.32%. If the yields go up by 5%, so instead of 1%, the yields go up from 6% to 11%, that is an increase of 5%, then again in the calculation we'll enter the I by Y as 11% and then again compute the price of the bond. So all the other values have already been entered. So we need only enter I by Y as 11, press the button 11 and press I by Y and compute PV. So the price of the bond will now fall to a value of minus 70.55. So if the yield went up to 11%, the price of the bond effectively becomes about $70. If the yields fall by 5%, that is the yields become 1%, then the price of the bond goes up to a value of about $147.32. So the percentage change in the case of a decline of 5% in yields in the price of this 10-year 6% coupon bond is 47.32%, and the percentage change in the case of an increase in yield is only about 30%, because 100 becomes 70. Duration is the percentage change in the price of a bond for a 1% change in yield to maturity. Please note that if for a 5% change, the change is 47% or the change is 30%, then for a 1% change, what would the change be? It is simple unitary method. It will be 47 divided by 5 and 30 divided by 5. So in the case of an increase in yields, that is when yields become 11%, the percentage change in the price of the bond is 70.55 minus 100 divided by 100. However, this is for a 5% change in yield. So for a 1% change in yield, this would be 1 by 5 of 70.55 minus 100 upon 100. That is approximately equal to 6%. We can do the exact calculation, but the idea is to understand the concept. Similarly, when yields fall by 5%, the price of the bond becomes 147.32 minus 100 would be the change in the price, divided by 100 would be the percentage change in the price of the bond. There's a 47% change for a 5% decline in yield. For a 1% decline in yield, what will be the change? It will again be 1 by 5 of this, which we can calculate as 9.4% approximately. So for a 1% decline in yield, the change is coming out to be 9.4%. And for a 1% increase in yield, the change is coming out to be 6%. Duration is defined as the percentage change in the price of a bond for a 1% change in yield to maturity. It doesn't specify increase or decrease. Obviously, if the yields increase, the change is different. That is, the price falls. The price falls by 6%. If yields go down, then the price is going up by a much bigger amount. In this case, it is going up by approximately 9.4%. So the duration is quoted as an average of the two. This is also called as effective duration. The modified duration and effective duration are the same for straight bonds. Straight bonds are bonds like these that pay a fixed coupon and then a par value at maturity. So the quoted duration will be the average of the two. So it will be the average of 6 and 9.4, which will come out to be approximately 7.7%. So please note, even though quoted as positive, duration is always quoted as a positive number. That is the percentage change in the price for a 1% change in yield. Duration is always calculated as, or duration is always interpreted as negative. That is, if yields go up by 1%, the price will fall by about 7.7%. If yields go down by 1%, the price will go up by 7.7%. Now, we see that this calculation is wrong because exactly the price change is different in the case of a yield increase and a yield decrease. Hence, duration is exactly defined as the approximate change in price for a 1% change in yield. If we just use the duration estimate, or if we said that duration is 7%, the duration of a bond, let's say, is 7.7%, how much will be the change in price for a 5% change in yield? For a 1% change, the change is 7.7%. So for a 5% change in yields, it will simply be 5 times this. That is, it will be about 38.5%. So calculating the change in the price by just using the duration is called the duration estimate. Duration estimate is incorrect because duration calculation itself was incorrect. The change in the price was not exactly 7.7% in any case. So if the yields go up by 5%, the duration estimate will tell us that the price should fall by 38.5%. Whereas the actual price fall will only be to the tune of 30% as we calculated earlier. If yields fall by 5%, then duration estimate will tell us that the price should rise by 38.5%. So duration tells us the price should become so much. Actually, we know the price will become 47.32 or 147.32, or the price will rise by 47.32%. So duration is an approximation. It is a conservative approximation. That is, when yields go up, the duration estimate says price will fall by 38%. Actually, the price falls by only 30%. When prices or when yields go down, duration says the price of the bond will rise by 38.5%, because it's one number. It's simply the percentage change for a 1% change in yield. Actually, the price will rise by 47%. If we have to actually calculate the price of the bond, then we better do the calculation like we did on our calculators. So enter the correct yield and calculate the correct price, and you will get the exact price. Sometimes, however, we want to understand the sensitivity and we want to understand broadly how much will the price change be. So in that case, a duration approximation can be used, or a duration is a good approximation. If the yields were changing by a small amount, it was just falling or going up by 0.1%, then you can verify the difference between the actual and the duration estimate would not be much. Problem happens when yield changes are large. So in the real world, it is very difficult to actually have this scenario that yesterday interest rates was 6% and today they become 11%, or yesterday they were 6% and today they become 1%. But in case fast yield changes do happen, then a duration approximation will not be very good. We'll study more about duration and how we can make the duration estimate better by adding something called as convexity. And we'll see that even duration plus convexity will not get us to the exact actual price that we calculated, but it will get us quite close, or it will get us somewhere close. Now, the duration calculation that we did, 37.5% that we did, can also be calculated with the help of this formula. So it's the same concept that we just studied, only it's been simplified into an easier formula. So it is the price when the yields go down minus the price when the yields go up upon 2 into the original price into the change in yields. This is called the effective duration, which will be the same as the modified duration for straight bonds or regular bonds that we studied. So when the price of the bond fell, or rather when the yields fell, what did the price of the bond become in our example? 147.32 approximately, when yields fell by 5%. When yields went up by 5%, what did the price of the bond become? 70.55% approximately, divided by 2 into the original price of the bond was 100, and the change in the yield was 5%. The change in the yield was 5%. 5% can be written as 0.05. So let's calculate. 147.32 minus 70.55, that will be 76.77. So it will be 76.77 divided by 2 into 100 into 0.05. So this will be about 7.677 or 7.7 that we had approximately calculated ourselves. So this averaging, it's the same concept that we applied. They take the percentage change in case of an increase, a percentage change in the case of a decrease, and then they take an average. That's how this 2 comes in the denominator. So you can remember this formula to calculate the effective duration. Please note it will be an approximation. it'll give us 38% change, whereas actual change will be 47% in case of a decline and only a 30% fall in the case of a yield increase. Let's do an example and understand the concept a little better. A bond is trading at a price of 100 with a yield of 8%. If the yield increases by 1 basis point, please note 1 basis point is equal to 0.01%. The price of the bond will decrease to 99.95. And if the yield decreases by 1 basis point, that is if it goes down by 0.01%, the price of the bond will increase to 100.04%. That is logical. As you reduce the discount rate, price will go up and vice versa. What is the modified duration of the bond? Let's calculate. Price when yields go down is 100.04. Price when yields go up is equal to 99.95. Duration is the price when yields go down minus the price when yields go up divided by 2 into the original price, that is 100, divided by the change in yield. The change in yield is 1 basis point. 1 basis point is 0.01%. Do not forget the percent. So it will be 0.01 upon 100. This will come out to be 100.04 minus 99.5, that is 0.09 divided by 2 into percent, and 100 will get cancelled, that is 0.01. That is, it will come out to be 4.5. Now please note that duration is always interpreted as negative. That is, if yields go up by 1%, price will fall by 4.5%. If yields go down by 1%, price will go up by 4.5%. But it will always be quoted as positive. So duration is never minus 4.5. Duration will be always quoted as 4.5. So if yields go up by 1%, price will fall by 4.5%. If yields go down by 1%, price will go up by 4.5% approximately, because duration is an approximation because of this averaging that we do. When yields fall, price actually went up to 47.32%, and when yields went up, price actually fell down by only 30%. Duration approximation said price will go up by only 37.5%, and it will fall also by 37.5. So duration brought us lower, and it didn't take us as high up as compared to the actual exact changes. So we studied that yields duration takes us up by 37.5, whereas the actual increase is higher. Duration takes us down to 37.5, whereas the actual fall is not as much. So can we say that to make the duration estimate a better estimate, something needs to be added to this upside estimate also, and something needs to be added to this downside estimate of price also? Probably if I add some quantity, I should get closer to the actual price. That slight quantity is called convexity. So remember, convexity is always positive for regular coupon paying bonds. Convexity always gets added to the price of the bond, or it always gets added to the duration estimate. So wherever duration gets us, something is added so as to get us closer to the actual price. Convexity estimate comes because relationship between price and yields is not linear. That is, duration says that for a 1% change, the change is equal to duration. So for a 10% change, the change will be equal to duration into 10%. Now that would have been the case if the relationship between price and yields was a linear relationship, was a straight line. But we've seen that the duration between price and yields is not a linear relationship. It is a more complicated relationship. That is, the price is equal to the summation of the cash flows of the bond divided by 1 plus y to the power t, where, or 1 plus y to the power I, where I varies from 1 to t, that is the time to maturity. The relationship between price and yields is not linear. It is a more complex relationship, as we see. In fact, it is a convex relationship. That is, when yields change, prices don't change in a linear fashion. And we can plot that very easily. Just keep changing the yield slightly and actually plot the prices that come on your calculator. You will be exactly able to plot this convex curve. Duration says, or duration is a linear approximation. It says for a 1% change, price changes by so much. So for a 10% change, price will change by so much. That interpretation or that line of thinking to begin with is incorrect, because relationship is not linear. To make the linear estimate of duration a better match to the actual price, we need to adjust for the convexity, or we need to adjust for this convex actual relationship. Convexity measures the change in duration for a 1% change in yields. The concept here is that as yields change, not only does the price change, the duration of the bond itself changes. So for a 10% change in yields, if we just multiply it with the same duration, it may not be the correct thing to do, because as the yields changed by 1%, the duration itself changed. So after 1%, we would have had to multiply by a different duration. But we don't do that. We multiply it with the same duration that we did for a 1% change. And that is why duration becomes an approximation, or it does not give us the right answer, because duration itself keeps changing as yields change. So you do not need to remember the formula like you did for effective duration, but remember, it is the absolute change in duration for a 1% change in yields. So once again, modified duration is defined as the percentage change in the price of a bond for a 1% change in yields. A related concept and a similar concept is called dollar duration. That is the absolute change in the price of a bond for a 1% change in yield. If price changes by 5%, how much will be the actual dollar change? It will be 5% multiplied by the original price. Remember, dollar duration is the absolute change for a 1% change in yield to maturity. It will be the modified duration multiplied by the original price of the bond. Dollar duration can also be written as the first derivative of the price of a bond with regards to the yields. This is not the calculus, you don't need to know, but it is the change in price for a small change in yield. The absolute change in price for a small change in yield. The dollar value of a basis point is defined as the absolute change in price for a 1 basis point change in yield. Dollar duration was defined as for a 1% change. Dollar value of a basis point is very similar. It is only for a 0.01% change in yield. So it will be the same as the dollar duration multiplied by 0.01. For a 1% change, price changed by dd. So for a 0.01% change, the price will change by dd into 0.01. Dollar convexity is what we defined earlier. It is the change in duration for a 1% change in yields. This is the second derivative of the price with yields. So it is the change in duration for a 1% change in yield. Change in duration for a slight change in yield. And duration itself was nothing but the change in price for a 1% change in yields. So this is the second derivative of the change in duration, or rather it is the second derivative of the change in of the price with yields. Just know this fact. Calculations based on this will not come on the exam. Dollar duration is the first derivative. Dollar convexity or convexity is the second derivative because it measures the change in duration. So we'll again depict the same definitions mathematically. The dollar duration is the first derivative of the price with respect to the yield. It is the same as the modified duration multiplied by the price. The dollar duration is the modified duration multiplied by the price. Dollar value of a basis point is simply the dollar duration multiplied by 0.01. This is the absolute change for a 0.01% change in the price of a bond. Dollar convexity is the second derivative of the change in price with regards to the yield, or it is a change in duration for a 1% change in yield. It will be the effective convexity multiplied by the price. Just like dollar duration was the effective duration multiplied by the price, dollar convexity will be the effective convexity multiplied by the price. We'll understand these better once we do some examples. Again, the maths behind it you don't need to know, but the curriculum does explain this, so we will study. The Taylor's expansion is not something specific to bonds. It's a mathematical concept that says if anything P is a function of a variable Y, in our case the price is a function of the yields, then the change in P for a small change dy in Y can be given as the delta P will be equal to the first derivative of Y into delta Y plus half into the second derivative of Y into delta Y square plus 1/3 into the third derivative of Y into delta Y cube, so on and so forth till infinity. It is defined for small changes dy in Y. Y here is the yield. The yield changes by a small amount. The price of the bond or the change in the price can be approximated as so much. If I take P naught this side, then P1 minus P naught will be f dash Y into delta Y plus half f double dash as the second derivative into delta Y square, so on and so forth. Now the change in yields is normally of the magnitude of 0.2%, 0.5%, maximum let's say 1%. Even if we take 1%, then delta Y is only about 0.01. If I take the square of delta Y, it will become 0.0001. And if I take the cube, you agree that the number will start becoming insignificant. Hence, in bonds, we normally take this expansion to the second term. That is, the first term is what you just studied. It was the duration estimate. That is, if yields change, the change will simply be duration times the yield change. The yields change by 10%. We said it will be duration multiplied by 10%. This was incorrect. We studied that this was an approximation because we ignored this term. If we ignore or if we include the second term as well, that is half into f double dash y naught into this is dollar convexity, this is dollar duration. into half double dash 1 into delta y square, our estimate will be better. If we include the third and fourth terms, our estimate will be even better, or we will be even closer to the actual exact price. This is called the duration estimate. This entire calculation is called the duration plus convexity estimate. How is duration estimated? We have already studied. How is convexity estimated? Also, we have studied it as the change in duration for a 1 unit change in yields, or a 1% change in yields. The only objective of telling you the Taylor's expansion is to emphasize that even duration plus convexity is not the exact actual price. It will be quite close, but there are more terms that will give us the exact actual price. If you want the exact actual price, the best thing is to enter the new yield on the calculator and calculate the exact actual price. So once again, if yields change by delta y, the exact actual price will be calculated by entering the new yield on your calculator and computing the price. The duration estimate will be calculated by just multiplying with duration and the change in yield. Please note, duration is always negative. It will always be interpreted negative. So if yields go up, price will fall. If yields go down, price will go up. If delta y is negative, this will become positive. Delta y is positive, this will remain negative. This is the dollar duration, f dash y. That is the modified duration multiplied by the price. If we include the second term, that is, if we include the convexity estimate as well, then this first will remain. But remember, always half into C into P, this is the dollar convexity, half F double dash into delta y square. Please note, convexity will always get added. So this was the duration estimate. Convexity will always be a positive number for straight bonds, or the bonds that we are studying. Why? You can see here also delta y being negative or positive, this is a delta y squared, so it will always be a positive addition. C is always positive. For regular bonds that we are studying, convexity is always positive. So this will bring us closer to the actual price, but still may not get us to the exact actual price. That's the concept of duration and convexity. We will now see what does duration and convexity depend on, and then try to solve a few more questions related to duration and convexity. Important concept, quite likely to be tested on the exam. Let's do an example. What is the price impact of a 10 basis point increase in yield on a par bond with a modified duration of 7 and a convexity of 50? It's a par bond, that means the current price P naught is $100 or $1,000. So please take a note, duration is 7, convexity is 50, that is effective convexity, price is 100, and delta y is 10 basis points, that is 0.1%, that is 0.001. So let's do it. The duration plus convexity estimate said that the new price P1 will be equal to P0 plus the duration estimate, that is minus D star into P0 into delta y plus half into C into P0 into delta y square. So let's carefully and diligently just input the values into this calculation. We will take P0 that side, so it will give us P1 minus P0, since anyways we want the change in price, and that will be equal to minus the duration, that is 7, into the original price, that is 100, into delta y, that is 10 bips or 0.1%. So please make sure you enter 0.001. Don't make that mistake. It is never entered in percentage. It is entered in decimals in all our calculations. The second term will be half. Convexity is given to be 50. It's a par bond, so price again is 100. Multiplied by delta y square would be 0.001 squared. Well, multiplied twice with 0.001. So this will come out to be minus 0.7 plus half into 5. These 3 zeros I will cancel with these 3 decimal points, and will still be left as 0.001. So it will be equal to 0.7 minus plus 2.5 or 0.0025. We'll use the calculator after that, because there's no points for mental maths. Whenever unsure, just simply use the calculator. We'll do 0.7 minus, as minus 0.7 plus 0.0025. That will come out to be minus 0.6975. So our best guess amongst the choices would be option C, that is minus 0.698. Now please note, it's a pretty straightforward question. However, if you don't follow the steps sincerely, you will make a mistake. If you try to eliminate choices and hurry up, you'll most probably tick minus 0.690. So remember, as far as possible, don't try to follow that method of elimination. Diligently solve the question and derive the exact answer, because there are 4 choices and it's very easy to confuse you or give options that likely look like the correct answer but are actually not. Let's do one more example. A bond portfolio has the following composition. So there's a portfolio A with a price of $90,000, a modified duration of 2.5, and it is a long position in 8 bonds. Portfolio B has a price of $110,000, a modified duration of 3, and is a short position in 6 bonds. And a portfolio C, which is a price of $120,000, modified duration of 3.3, and a long position in 12 bonds. All interest rates are 10%. If the rates rise by 25 basis points, then the value of the bond portfolio will. So there is no convexity given to us in this case. So we will ignore convexity and just solve with the help of duration. So for each bond or each portfolio individually, calculate the change in price and then sum it all up to calculate the total change in the price for the portfolio. Let's solve. So for portfolio A, the price is $90,000 and it's a long position in 8 bonds. So if rates rise by 25 basis points, a long bond position will gain. That is, if you have purchased a bond, the long bond position will lose. That is, if you purchase a bond, the bond price will fall and you will lose. How much will that fall in price be? It will simply be the original price multiplied by the duration multiplied by the change in yield, and duration is always interpreted as negative. So the original price is 90,000 for one bond. The duration of the bond is 2.5 multiplied by the change in yield, that is 25 basis points or 0.25%. That is 0.25 divided by 100. This is the fall for one bond. We have a total position in 8 bonds. So if we multiply this with 8, will give us the total price fall for 8 bonds. Let's calculate. It will be 9 into 2.5 into 25 into 8, that is equal to $4,500. So the decline in the price of the first portfolio will be minus 4,500. Similarly, for the second portfolio, the price is 110,000 multiplied by a modified duration of 3 multiplied by 0.25 upon 100. This, however, is a short position. So a short position is when you have sold the bond. If you sold the bond, or if you sold something and the price falls, then you have gained, because it's the short position in 6 bonds. So if the yields rise, the price will fall, or a short position will gain. Let's calculate. 11 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 25 multiplied by 6, that is $4,950. That will be the gain in this case. In the last portfolio, that is portfolio C, the price is $120,000 multiplied by a modified duration of 3.3 multiplied by an increase in yield of 25 bips, that is 0.25%. So 0.25 divided by 100 multiplied by 12. So again, we'll calculate this as 12 multiplied by 3.3 multiplied by 25 multiplied by 12, that is $11,880. And that will be the fall in price. That is a fall of $11,430. So the value of the portfolio in this case will decrease by $11,430. Calculate the impact on each bond, sum them all up to calculate the price on the total portfolio. For each bond, the fall will be given as P0 into duration into delta Y.